Sanctioned by the Absolute Beginner League from Brazil's Circuit Jose Carlos Pache, this is the Global SimRacing Channel's Round 3 coverage of the Formula Neagle Season 23 Championship. With 2 races in the books, there have been 2 different winners. And on the driver's point ladder, 2 drivers share the top rung. Earning his first career win last round at Imola, Manuel Lucetta stands even with 2-time champ David Third Degree Burns. Will Burns pick up his first win of the season? Will Lucetta make it 2 in a row? Or will another driver find victory lane? Find out now as all the simulated Skippy action from green flag to Victory Donut streams your way live as it happens right here on GSRC. Hello and welcome way up in the press box to bring you our Words Eye View. DJ Clark alongside yours truly, Bill Soups on. John Ambrose has director duties with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Last season opened right here at Interlagos when Lee Anderson raced his familiar frosted purple Skippy to the win, the first of 4 on the way to his season 22 championship. In the runner-up spot, no surprise, David Third Degree Burns. Manuel Lucetta had yet to make his Formula Neagle debut, so since this is the first visit to Brazil for the Italian point leader, he might want to watch along with you, the viewers, as GSRC takes a closer look at today's racing venue.
Welcome to Autodromo's Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its 2 layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Junção, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo.
Soup always listens to a little Sergio Mendes to get in the mood whenever we go down to Brazil here at Interlagos. DJ Clark, let's bring him in here to talk a little bit about this place. DJ?
Well, thanks, Soup. This is, of course, the home of the Formula One Brazilian Grand Prix, so it should be familiar to any open-wheel fans around the world. But let's walk through how it's going to handle in these Skippies. It is going to be a mega draft fest, as we've seen time in and time out, from the exit of Turn 12 all the way to the run down into Turn 1 in the Senna S. You're going to see some really good drafting and passing going on, and that Senna S is going to be the thing that we absolutely love to see in these Skippies, the ability to fight back, as it is a winding corner. So you're on the outside, then you're on the inside, you're on the outside. That will present some good opportunities to fight a potential pass. We may see a little bit of passing down into Turn 5 coming off of the Retroposta, but for the most part, Soup, in these Skippies from about Turn 5 all the way back around to Turn 12, it's going to be pretty processional. There's not going to be a lot of passing in this infield. It's very tricky and not really enough heavy acceleration into heavy braking to get these Skippies down for a good pass.
You know, before we talk about the points, let's drill down a little bit about this. This track is kind of interesting in the fact that it is a draft track for a large portion, but this has such a long, windy section compared to most tracks where you talked about it from 5 to all the way over to 12. It's really technical.
It really is, and we don't normally think about it as a heavy draft track. It's not something like Spa where, you have the long Camel Straight and that kind of thing, but the truth is the run out of 12 down to 1 is an incredibly long run on full power. The thing is it's not exactly perfectly straight. There's a little bit of the kinks, so we just sort of tend to bleed it out of our mind a little bit.
Indeed. Always puts on a good show, though. Something fun. Stick around. We'll see how it plays out. Let's go ahead and talk about the points right now with 2 races in the books. 5-race season. We are definitely right here at the midpoint season. 2 behind us, 2 in front of us, and this one. Let's look at them. It's a little messy there on the top. You see Manuel Lucetta and David Third Degree Burns tied for the lead, each of them with that 47 points. Now check it out. Lucetta has a 4th and a win. Third Degree Burns has a 2nd and a 3rd, but Burns leads Lucetta in bonus points 6-5. So the difference being a fast lap that Burns earned at Imola. So to put this simply, bonus points, especially in a close race like this, are really important. If Junk is going to be a factor in the championship, it's time for the Junkyard Dog to start the hunt. Eric Lukl has moved up to the F1 Championship, and he is just 6 points back with podium spot. First round winner, Christian Perez, missed round 2. He's going to miss here again today, but he helps fill out a very cluttered graphic there as we look at lots of ties for position. There's other championships. DJ, what do you got?
Well, Soup, I've got the F2 driver standings right here in front of me, and now this is for drivers with an I rating of under 2,300. And as you can see, Christopher Crook leading off the pack in first. He sits 9th overall, so that should give you an idea of where this breaks down in that. Now, Ludwig Sauer and Ari Sejas tied for 2nd place, even though Ari is still looking for his first top 10 in Formula Neagle. And Ludwig obviously being able to solidify that position based off of a really nice 8th place finish at Imola. Taylor Reeder sits there 4 points back with Jeffrey Brewer and series organizer Wojciech Podacek 5 points back of our leader Christopher Crook with Christopher Guros 7 points back. So very, very tight there, Soup, as you can see in the F2 Championship.
Indeed. What about the team standings?
Well, in terms of those teams, 2 stupid dogs. That's that's David Burns and Vincent Bream being very much propped up by David Burns. Vincent Bream sitting back in 26th overall. Evolve Motorsports only 4 points back. That's Fanbelt. That is the Fanbelt and Wojciech Podacek. And Team Kombacht is 6 points back of our leader. That's Eric Lukl and Ludwig Sauer. As you can see, though, Team Haas, CCR Skippy, and Street Trends Team 2 very far back. So really a 3-horse race there for the teams.
Team Comeback winning the day last time out at Imola. All right, we're always picking up new viewers, so let's go ahead and talk about the race details here.
Well, we are working on the 3rd round, as you said, and we are driving these fantastic training cars of the Skip Barbers, but don't let the training nature of them fool you. They are fun, they are fast, and they are going to be coming in fierce action today. It is a 40-minute race, and we are running an open setup, so these drivers are able to tune these cars to exactly their liking. The only caveat being is there is a 51% fuel limit, which guarantees that we will have a pit stop over the course of the race. Drivers are currently out qualifying right now in a 10-minute qualifying session, but when this race gets started, Soup, it's a bit of a different thing on the iRacing service. We have a standing start.
It is indeed a nice full field here today. We should have good competition all the way through the field. Absolute Beginner League, always infamous for having a large amount of drivers with us. Qualifying times begin to come in right now.
They're beginning to come in, and as you can see, we are dealing with an open qualifying, so many cars out on track, and one of the important things with that is that draft. The guys who are setting the fastest times, looking at Manuel Lucetta and Just Junk, just to name a few, they're all in a big draft pack, and that's going to be the fastest way to set these times down here today.
Looking at Andy Saunders. Let's quickly look at, as they come across the line, let's quickly look at car number 21 as he heads to put in his first time. I'm talking about Taylor Reeder. This guy is a really good qualifier, has yet to be able to turn that around into race results. He's new to the series. He's been very impressive. He comes across the line right now. Let's see if he gets himself a clean lap or if this was an out lap for him. And I I don't believe he got a time, so maybe this time coming around. But keep an eye on Taylor here. He is quick. See if he can, I expect him to be near the front in qualifying. We'll see if he can turn that into a good result. Let's look at Eric Luco.
And we're jumping on board with Eric here, and you can see this is him in that draft of Christopher Giros up in front. Excuse me, that's not Christopher Giros. Up in front of them. But see just how much that has affected him getting that pull along. As Martin Brundle likes to say, it's sort of like getting that push behind you, adding a few more horsepower. So he's going to cross the line here, unable to improve, but he currently sits in second.
Of course, sitting, well, he was third on our graphic, really fourth if we consider the ties that are in front of him. Having a great season, racing up in the F1 Championship now. Notoriously good qualifier in F2, and they've given him the bump as he is right behind Vincent Bream. Now we're looking at Tom Dell, newcomer.
Tom's newcomer putting in a very respectable time there to get himself up into 12th. Here comes Jan Mild to cross the line. He's currently set all the way back in 23rd. Proves his time by about a full second, so that's certainly going to bump him up the field. At least it would. Looks like that lap didn't necessarily count as we now watch Michael Green coming to the line.
Love qualifying, gets us a chance to put the camera on some of the drivers. We don't have time to cover it during the race because the competition up front is always so close. Now, DJ missing from the top of my chart here. I'm not seeing David Burns. He was in the session. He's well down the order, sitting in 15th.
Yeah, Soup, I'm not sure what exactly caused that. I'm looking at his fastest times. Fastest lap is a 53.3, and his last lap looked like a 53.6. So clearly something not going right here for the always consistent David Burns as we ride on board with him now.
Right on board with Burns. You saw Taylor Rear go across the line again after I hyped him up for qualifying. He's still yet to put in a qualifying time. 7 minutes to go, plenty of time for the youngster to get in here. Let's see what the two-time champion can do.
You see, that is Eric Local and Vincent Bream ahead of him, so he's going to be picking up on their draft. This looks like it's going to be a much faster time for David. Indeed, 2 seconds faster, right to the top of the charts.
There you go. If you want to play the GSRC consumption game, well, there's a game we play here at Interlagos, and that's every time DJ or I falsely say that a driver's coming into pit lane. Because DJ, the racing line here is right by pit entrance. It's impossible to tell who's pitting and who's running. You can see that pit entry go by on the driver left there as we look here at Man.
Man put in a good time there. And yes, if you and I were talking about it before the race of just how dangerous it is, you can see there at the top of the screen, the racing line cuts directly across pit entry. It makes it very, very confusing from us in the booth on the selfish perspective to figure out when guys are just trying to go fast and when guys are coming into the pits. As we watch there, here, you can see it right here. That white line is the entrance to pit lane, and they have to cross over it just like that. Very dangerous in real life and very confusing for us commentators.
Great shot from our director there, and I don't want to bring a downer in, but in real life racing, it's fun to talk about here in sim racing, but somebody one day is going to have a serious problem there, and everyone's going to be surprised when it happens, and it's kind of obvious to me, but that's down the road. Here we're looking at Nicholas, and I'll take a shot at this one. Involstsons. Boy, that was horrible. Want to take a shot at that one for me, DJ?
Involvsson? I'm going to...
Okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah, but nice rainbow scheme. I'm liking that. It's a nice burst of color here today. As we now are going to go after Frederick Neptune. That's a name we can both pronounce. So getting a good draft in front of him.
And he ducks to the inside. He's sitting third right now overall. The trade way up the order. Not able to better his time of a 151.9, but nevertheless, that was great. Especially when he was behind Andre Solander there. I thought he was going to have a good run. Look at Neptune way up there. Now he drops down to fourth with another guy sneaking in. Okay, can we look at car number 36? This is Christopher Garrels. One of these days, this guy is going to sneak a win here. He's little by little one of those drivers that keeps getting better and better. He's third in line right now.
And it looks like the session is winding down to an end here. So everybody going to finish their laps, and we'll see what things shake down to as we watch Christopher Crook coming into pit lane.
Oh, we got a new name up at the top, and this guy scares me. Because whenever there's 3 names, they're always fast. Luis Felipe Calderon. That middle name, that's good for half a second a lap.
Exactly. Just ask Juan Pablo Montoya as we watch Paul Clark coming to the line. Looks like Paul not able to set down a time. For those confused about that, by the way, iRacing has a system. If you run out of track limits and clip a corner too much, it will discredit your lap. So that's what that is.
31 drivers able to put in qualifying time. 6 have not, and I don't believe they're actually going to get one in. Looking at on board with the veteran here with Lucal.
Eric currently sat in 6th, hoping to be able to improve a little bit. That's David Burns right in front of him. So he's poking out to the inside ever so slightly there, not taking full advantage of the draft. But Lucal coming to the line. This looks like it could be a good time for him. It is indeed. Yeah. He's going to pop up to 2nd.
Had that perfectly timed out of the final corner. Got a great run down to the finish line, the timing line, and he moves up into 2nd. Vincent Breen sneaking up into 3rd all of a sudden. So 2 stupid dogs sitting 1st and 3rd. Frederick Neptune has fallen out. He was up close, falling down into 9th. Few stragglers out there. We're still looking at 31 qualifiers with a handful yet to put in times. No big names of those.
Looks like this is one of our last drivers out on track. This is Dave Devine working his way around, still counted as running. So he's going to hope to put it in a time. And I believe that's Taylor Reeder right behind him. It's one of the guys you were highlighting. So this may be a good chance for Reeder to jump up the order.
Finally got in a time sitting at 14th right now. Should be able to get a good tow here and get a good run as he follows Devine.
Gonna be a bit close here, I think. I don't know if he's gonna be able to better himself. No, he is not.
Well, you hype a guy for his qualifying skills and he gives you a 14th. Newcomers, you think you get a handle on them, you don't. All right, let's go ahead with qualifying done and a standing start and a pretty full field. Let's go ahead and go to the grid right now. Make sure DJ and I get our GSRC's commentator bonus for getting through the entire field before they go green. On pole, 2-time champion David Third Degree Burns, flanked by the veteran Eric Luke. Row 2 is Vincent Bream with the man tied for the points lead, Manuel Lucetta, the Italian driver in 4th. Ludwig Sauer and Josh Brain. Nice qualifying run for Brain, who sits in 6th. 3 names. Luis Felipe Calderon, he sits in 7th spot inside of Christopher Garros. And row 5 is the Trident Frederick Neptune inside of the Junkyard Dog way back in 10th. Used Young.
In 11th is going to be Ari Sejas, followed by Wojciech Potacek. In row 7 will be Jeffrey Brower and Taylor Reeder, who we were following. Eric Lundberg and Tom Dell making up row 8, followed by Merrick Leolis in 17th and Andre Solander in 18th. Christopher Crook in 19th and Neil Bamber rounding out your top 20.
Hidden Blackjack is Thor Tuhal with Jan Mild in the double duck spot. Troy Banks and Timothy Cox go 23rd and 24th. Mackenzie Mann and Dave Devine behind them. Next row is Peter Reed with Martin Rendell. Andy Saunders well down the order in 29th inside of Craig Schill.
Michael Green's going to be 31st, followed by Tom Depke. Tom not setting a time, and neither are any of these drivers from here on out. Paul Clark, Neil Smet, Dennis Rust, Nicholas Ingvaldson, and Klaus Loden to round out the back of your field.
We made it. We're going to get our commentator's bonus. I think we have time. Let's quickly bring up the weather here before we go green. I think we can get it in, see what we're racing with, DJ. How's it look?
Pretty darn delightful, Soup. It's about 75 degrees in the air, 87 degrees tack temperature, so not too worried about any tire wear here. Nice in that Goldilocks zone we like to talk about.
Nice weather for the beautiful scenery in Brazil to be not overly dressed. David Burns sitting on the pole, 2-time champion. Let's see what he can do. We got 40 minutes of racing to go, 1 pit stop. And we'll see how this shakes out. Remember, Burns and Lucetta tied for the lead, sitting 1st and 4th on the grid right now. Surprise qualifying run from Vincent Bream, way up in 3rd spot. Josh Brain also having a great spot in 6th. Keep an eye on him. Glad that you're with us. You hear the engine start to harmonize. You know what to do. Gather up the chicken steak covering on the castle. Horses are out of the barn. And it is David Burns who will be forced to lead the stampede down into the first corner. Eric Luckel sits in second. Vincent Bream holds down third. There's a challenge. That's Lucetta. Looks to the inside, but he'll have to settle for fourth. Sauer behind him. Oh, DJ, they are really bunched up behind them.
Oh, they are really bunched up, going 3-4 wide almost through the Senna S, but everybody keeping it nice and collected in the mid-pack. Nobody off from what I can tell, as David Burns starting to pull away from Eric Luckel, but Luckel towing up right behind him.
Behind them, they are 3 wide for 6th position. Calderon around the outside of Garros. Calderon off into the Brazilian sand. He keeps it gathered up. Tip of the hat to all those guys. All the racing going on for 6th position has let the front 5 drive away.
Well, it's the same story, different race, Soup. We've seen these leaders do this time and time again. The only thing that is different is that Just Junk in that hot dog colored car, like you like to say, is not with them. Junk able to gain 1 spot at the start.
Calderon was able to get around all the traffic now and has pulled up on the back, and he makes a move now inside of Garros. Those guys find Garros is touched. He's bumped up. Watch out for Luis Felipe Calderon. He is a coming.
Well, Soup, this was the track that Juan Pablo Montoya announced his ability to the Formula One world by knocking Michael Schumacher out of the way in turn 1, and it looks like his fellow 3-named compatriot, Luis Felipe Calderon, doing the exact same thing here in Formula Neagle, bumping and shoving his way forward, saying he is a force to be reckoned with.
Heading down through the pit entry right now, it's David Burns trying to stretch his legs a little bit. Luckel will have none of it. Looking to the outside is Manuel Lucetta now, who's moved it up into 3rd position. He wants to be careful. Doesn't want Burns to race away from him.
No, he does not, and it's what we've seen these leaders do week in and week out. You just want to keep within that draft window and really start to press at the beginning, as you saw on the back of your screen. Use Junk into the wall.
The Junkyard Dog has had an issue. We'll look at it right now. He was trying to go 3 wide, DJ.
Yeah, that was Garros and Neptune that he was trying to go around with. Just gets there, gets into the back, tries to make an advantage move. The 2-touch in front of him, and that sends him out into the wall. Don't think that's major damage to the car for Junk, but that's certainly going to bump him down the order. He currently sits in 21st, but he does have a little bit of wing damage.
Let's go back up to 2nd position. Lucetta has managed to get around everybody, but boy, he is being pestered by Eric Luckel. All the while, 3rd degree Burns starts to pull away. Behind him, Sauer, Bream, and Calderon in 6th position.
Well, see, this is a bit of a novel position for David Burns. Always one of the most consistent drivers in this series, but we're not used to seeing him lead until maybe the last 3 laps. So very different approach from David today.
David Burns very stingy on fuel consumption. He usually doesn't like to lead and burn it up. What you gonna do if they're gonna put you out there? He's got himself almost a 2nd lead, which in Formula Neagle is a 2nd is almost a mile. We'll see if they can gather him up. Let's look back at. Go ahead, DJ.
You read my mind, Soup. I was just going to say we're going to jump back to check out this 2nd pack. This is Frederick Neptune. Looks like Fojek Potacek, Josh Brain, and Garros really duking it out. This is some fierce action in the back.
Making a stab on the inside. That is Garros. Gets the pass made on Potacek. Potacek in the. I'm going to say those are Polish colors there in the red and white. There's gets by. Garros now moving up into 9th position. Potacek hanging on to that top 10 spot.
I would say that's right, Soup, as we see Potacek now diving to what will be the outside there of Neptune, trying to get a run, not able to stick it, and Christopher Garros now fighting back on him, saying, yes, I'd like some of that. Oh, he and Neptune almost touched that. Let's Garros on the outside. They do touch.
Great racing going on. I apologize. I misidentified Potacek there. He's racing in the white and blue machine right behind Neptune. The the Triton having some great racing. Let's stay here for a while. Usually the racing in this second pack is always a little more exciting than the guys that haven't figured out up front. In the mix is Soup's call. Taylor Reeder now sitting in 11th. He's about 5th in line of this train.
He's sitting back in what we like to call the popcorn position, but as you can see, riding on board with Josh Brain, there's a little bit of damage there at the front to Frederick Neptune's rear wing. That could especially affect him down the straight, so do not be surprised if we see Christopher Guras and Wojciech Podacek there. You can see a great camera angle to show that damage. Yeah, look at that, Soup. He's not able to get the power down off the corner right, and here comes Podacek up the inside. I think he's going to be a sitting duck down the main straight.
And I think it's going to be Christopher Garros with him. You can see on the tower what's going on up front. We're not going to go there yet. Burns and Lucetta start to pull away a little bit. The action is right here. There's the one pass, and here comes... Oh, he's going to try to squeeze it through the middle. There's no room. Christopher Garros gets it in there. There is room. No, there's not room. You could have listened to the commentator. You're in the wall. Getting around him is Reeder. Taylor Reeder goes by. More damage. Another car that's off. I believe that's his teammate, Frederick Neptune.
Oh my goodness gracious, going bad to worse for that team. We're going to jump back to see exactly what happened to Neptune here, Sue.
Well, he had his teammate to the outside, and they got together. There goes Neptune spinning. I wonder if there wasn't some damage from the contact.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. We saw him really struggle coming out of the last corner, so I think that rear wing damage coming back to bite him. But we're going to jump up to P3. This battle really starting to shape up. Ludwig Sauer, Luis Felipe Calderon, Eric Luckel, and Vincent Breen.
Calderon now up into 4th, is trying to get around Sauer. He's worried about the guys pulling away from him. My goodness, he is right on the gearbox of him right now. On him, tighter than a scuba suit on a fat man, is Luis Felipe Calderon on Ludwig Sauer.
He is just absolutely trying to press the advantage. And here you can see just how difficult it is, like we talked about at the top, to get a pass done in that twisty infield section. But this is the area he wants to do, and he wants to really get a good blast out of that final corner. Looks like he does. He's now going to be lining up in the draft. You can see it right there. Just the speed differential already starting to pick up about a kilometer of an hour faster as he gets full advantage of the draft. Here goes Calderon.
Not sure I want to tell him how to race, but he was almost too close out of that corner where he didn't get a great run. He's going to have to work a little harder as he didn't get a lot of swing. Punching a huge hole for Eric Luckel if he wants it, but he's not going to be able to get there. The pass is made. Sauer slips down into 4th. And now Calderon can set his sights on the 2 leaders. Maybe a little bit of a stepping stone there. If he can get to Lucetta, he might be able to get to Burns. Garros making an early stop. This is a... There he is.
Yeah, that damage.
Involved. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that damage is proving a little bit too much for Christopher Guras, and I think that's the main reason he wanted to come in and get that as repaired as he could to try to salvage any points he can out of this race.
All right, we've been following mid-pack a little bit. Let's go back up front, tell you what's going on up there. David Burns has led from the green flag. Lucetta has worked his way from 4th position right behind him now. They sit tied in the points, and they are racing right next to each other. The question is, can Calderon catch these guys?
Well, Soup, it's going to be a bit of a tall order for Calderon. The normal draft of efficacy that we see from these cars needs them to be within about 1.5 to 1.8 seconds of one another. That's really where the draft starts to come into play. Calderon currently sitting about 2 seconds back, so he's got to make up a couple of tenths here if he wants to start to use the draft to help him pull in.
Now, normally I would say Calderon qualified in 7th position. He doesn't have the pace to get there, but this is open qualifying, which is a bit misleading. Who knows what Calderon can do? He's a newcomer. Maybe he didn't have a friend to get behind. Maybe he didn't know who the fast drivers were. He didn't know who to tuck behind to get a good run. He's going to have to really work hard. But right now, I think, DJ, with Burns and Lucetta working next to each other, that's a tall order to catch those two.
However much I'd love to see Luis catch up, I have to agree with you, Soup. Those two are 2 of the best drivers we have in Formula Renault in Burns and Lucetta, so it's going to be very tricky for this role of newcomer Calderon to be able to catch up.
Wojciech Potocek has had a problem, and he's come into pit lane. There's an early stop.
Yeah, it looks like before he came in, Soup, he was missing a little bit of that front wing. I think a courtesy of that contact with Frederick Neptune going into turn 1. And Wojciech just taking the same thing that Christopher Giros did, wanting to get that car repaired to try to salvage 2 points.
I think he's probably in the window here. This is probably the very beginning of the window opening up. It's a pretty big window in Formula Neagle. I think with early stop, I think things can still work for him.
I think Soup, he should be able to make it. He may have to be a little bit soft, but he gets into contact, and that's going to be Wojciech's day done. But we'd stay here with this battle for P3.
This is a fun battle. Here is Calderon up in front, doesn't have the legs to leave these guys behind. Sauer right behind him. Then you got Lukel, all familiar names here, and Vincent Bream, veterans all. It's about 7 seconds back to Taylor Reeder. Let's drop back a little bit and look at this battle here. This is a mess back in like 10th position. And there goes a spinner and a connection. That is Thor. 2-hole goes off, and he collects Ari Seahawks. We talked about Seahawks sitting well in the F2 Championship. Not a good battle, not a good day for him.
Oh, not a good day at all. We're going to check the replay here now. This is going into that final corner. Oh, looks like Ari just got a little bit over aggressive on the brakes, ran into the back of Thor, and that's what caused everything to break down.
We got Thor and Neptune in the same race. Where's Apollo? Where's Venus? Let's bring him in. Looking at this battle for third.
That's Eric Lukel being able to keep Ludwig Sauer at bay for the moment. He'll now be able to keep him behind during this tricky infield section if he can. But you see Sauer starting to close in, taking full advantage of the draft. Going into this corner, it's a very, very light braking zone that then tightens up when you have to get on the binders. Very heavy to set up for the first of these tight, twisty infield corners. Very hard to get a pass done. I think very heads up of Ludwig Sauer. He had the run, but didn't want to take the chance.
Viewers might be wondering what happened to Luis Felipe Calderon. Well, going down into corner number 1, he missed his braking point, put it off into the sand, and now he's fallen all the way down to 6th. He was working hard to try to catch the 2 leaders, so sometimes you work a little too hard.
And what that's actually done is it's allowed for Taylor Reeder to start to have a draft.
Let's go to Andre Salander, a replay for car number 140. He just got into a big one. Salander's a veteran. He deserves a little love here. He's a lead car here. They make contact. He spins off into the grass, and then he gets collected out here. That was a big mess.
Yeah, and that's going down into the tightest of that infield section. Very tricky braking zone, and it just looks like people weren't exactly expecting it. Completely lost all of the front bodywork on that car, so I would not be surprised if Andre comes in here to get a nice little repair.
Great aggressive racing going on at the back of the pack. He's going to stay out. And tuck right in behind, see what he can do. And everybody take a drink. Pit stop time. Calderon, after that spin, says it's time to come in. Might have had a little bit of issue with the wings if he went off into the beach. DJ, P3 is fun. This is Lukel, Sauer, Bream.
And these 3 are really, really keeping up a good, decisive battle there. Vincent Bream very late on the brakes as they dive into that uphill section of the corner, running wide. You can see the different approaches these drivers are taking, just trying to figure out where the best line to set up for this slow corner is. That is the corner, of course, that we saw the incident happen in just before. But everybody's staying nice and single file here until they blast onto the main straightaway. And Soup, I have to think there may be a little bit of fuel saving involved with some of these drivers behind, like Ludwig Sauer and Vincent Bream.
Could be indeed. I want to quickly jump you to the lead. This is a good battle. We're going to jump you around a little bit because we're coming up on some lap traffic. Remember, Ford 2-hole had that incident. He is now taking his fast repair. He is back out there. But here comes the leaders. Now, it looks like they're going to catch him at a really good spot where I think maybe both cars might be able to blow by. Interesting how Burns has decided not to take a tow. Is he coming in? Nope. That was just not in the racing line. He didn't want to go out there. You know, TJ, I think Manuel Lucetta has learned from David Burns. I think the Italian is very happy in second.
I think the Padawan is about to become the master here.
Yeah.
As he makes his moves forward, just slowly back. Like you see, he's not really working the car that hard, just kind of pedaling it very softly around the track. So I think he's just biding his time, maybe able to stay out a lap or two longer than David Burns by saving some fuel in that nice draft cushion behind him.
He's burning less fuel. Maybe he takes a little bit shorter run. Now they head into the technical section. Lander making a stop. All right, they come down. Now we're going to give the English translations here. This is the horseshoe they come into. Getting out of the way, that's Peter Reed. All right, they head through 8, heading into Small Pine. This is this left-hander coming up, looping around corner number 9. Heading down into 10. English translation is Duckbill. I like to call it Cyrano de Bergerac, but probably not going to catch on. Into 11, the dive. And now, if one thing, final corner, full throttle. Let's stay on this a bit, and let's see if Lucetta is indeed, if he wants it, he can take the lead right now. He's in the position. I just don't think it's going to happen as they come around. What this will do, DJ, is we can take a look where the finish line is, and it's a long way down.
Exactly, and it's something that we normally talk about a little bit more in dirt racing, frankly, of where the finish line is on the main straightaway. But it's so late, and here comes Burns down into the pits.
All right, the Italian driver's going to go out and do some hot laps. Remember, Burns was your pole sitter, so he knows how to race, but he's going to have to put some fuel in. His car will be a little heavier than Lucetta's is right now. If Lucetta's going to have a hot lap, it would be now. So with that, picking up a little bit is Lucal and Sauer and Bremas. They vulture spots. Interesting, DJ. The track's a little cooler. We got a little bit of a South American cloud cover here going on. Maybe that might be good for the guys who are hot lapping.
Yeah, it might. And with that humidity staying relatively high, that means that the air is going to be a little bit, well, to steal your name, soupier. You're going to have a little bit more downforce pushing down on these wings, so you'll be able to take a little bit more speed through the fast corners, and that could help some people out. It could make these cars just a hair easier to drive, as you see there.
Let's look at car number 45 right now. This is former champion Neil Bamber. He's racing in 10th position. Right in front of him, who is it? Well, that is David Burns, who slotted out in 9th position.
And now this is crucial for David Burns. He is only about 2 seconds or so behind Merrick Leolis, in front of him. That's not going to be full there. He's got it down to 1.6 seconds. That's what he needs to do to be able to take advantage of the draft. Now, in contrast to that, Manuel Lucetta is running in clean air. He's not going to be as fast as Burns. And so Burns needs to just try to use as much draft as he can to keep his speed up down the straights, and hopefully that's going to be able to get him farther ahead of Lucetta in this pit stop cycle.
The Lion, Merrick Leolius, racing in 8th right now, taking pride in that position as Burns coming up right behind him. Lucetta staying out. The interval, about 25 seconds between Lucetta and Burns. Is that enough time for Lucetta to get in, take some fuel, get back out? Well, we'll find out.
I don't know if it is or not, Soup, as I'm looking at the pit stop delta of time just going down the lane itself, not including slowing down or speeding up. And it looks like that delta is going to be about 30 seconds or so. So I think Lucetta may be losing out here.
Yeah, Burns 29 seconds from cone to cone. You got to figure that that's going to be a tough order for Lucetta to do. Clouds pass, sun is back out here in Brazil. 8 drivers yet to pit. Burns the leader of all the cars who have pit. And here's what you talk about. Now here's the Lion blocking Burns' way. Look at Burns now. It's going to be held up a little bit from Leolis.
Yeah, no, the flip of the taking the advantage of the draft is this is the last thing that David Burns wants to do, is battling like this will cost him valuable tenths of a second, but he's able to get by Leolis there relatively easily, gets a late apex down into that corner to try to into the duckbill to just try to prevent any overtake, any attack from Leolis. That's Neil Bamber behind them. Neither of those two have pitted. So now Burns is going to be out on his own. He's got about a 7-second gap to Tom Dell up in 7th.
The leader comes in. Well, no, the leader did not pit. Sorry. Leader stays out again. Let's go ahead back to 9th position real quick. This is a fun battle. This is the Lion. Eolius in a battle with Bambi. This is a lion and a deer going at it. I got to favor the Lion in this one. Eolius comes in, ends that battle before there's any bloodshed. All right, we talked about Taylor Reeder. He is up to 5th spot. He's leading Josh Pinky in the Brain, who's right behind him.
He is, and Brain's starting to close down on him the best that he can, but Taylor Reeder doing a very, very good job, currently up 10 spots from his starting position of 14th. So Suki talked about his ability to climb up the field through having a relatively average qualifying session, but Reeder here up in the spot up as high as he is, in part because of pit stops, but he's certainly got some good pace in this race. Right up ahead of him is a little bit of lap traffic, and Peter Reed, Eric Lugel, a whopping 7.5 seconds up the road.
We're going to see if the Italian, the leader, comes in for a pit stop this time around. You look on the tower there to the left, drop all the way down to Burns, sitting in 7th. That interval still 25 seconds. So it has remained steady. All right, out of corner number 12 now, heading through what's it's called. The corner is called Up to the Pits in English. And is he coming in this time? Soup waits. No.
He is not, so he's clearly hoping that Burns is going to just fall afoul of not having any draft. And looks like the rest of our leaders not going to come in as well, so everybody pretty much electing to keep going. Burns taking the very alternate strategy of coming in super early.
Now, if you look at this battle here between Reeder and Brain there, Brain comes in. I want to talk about not Brain, but Brame, and I'm talking about Vincent Brame, car number 25. He's second of all the cars that have pitted. Remember, he was in that battle with Sauer and Lukel. So we'll see how that plays out when Sauer and Lukel come out, and they still need to make their stop.
And we're going to jump actually to that battle right now. That is Sauer leading Eric Lukel. Lukel getting a good run down through the infield section as they work their way up the hill. But once again, as we talked about, Steve, this is not the area to pass. Really, the only good overtaking I've seen here today coming from David Burns' move to get around a few of the slower cars in front of him, Leolis in particular, coming through that infield section.
Is a team championship, and these guys race for team comeback. They won. They were best on the day last time out in Imola. Having another good run right now as these guys sit well up the order. Their cars aren't painted the same, but they are indeed teammates.
We're going to go back to Manuel Lucetta here. Let's see if he decides to make this the lap. He does not. So Lucetta continuing to stay out. Going back to that battle we were following, though, do these guys pit?
They do not either. The car is lighter. Look at the tower. Look at 6th position. Burns now the interval 24.7. He's knocking off time. This is what my dad, before there was the undercut, he called it the early peel, late reveal. The driver peels in for a pit stop early, you forget about him, and what is revealed later? Oh, how did he get to the lead? David Burns sitting in 6th. I expect him to be comfortably out in front when this is all said and done. Let's look at 5th position.
And you saw there on the top of your screen, David Burns putting in the fastest lap of the race with 1:51.079. So Burns clearly not affected by the lack of draft in front of them, and he's been able to get that advantage in his favor down to the tune of 24.6 seconds, Soup. Lucetta may be able to save a little bit of time on pit lane going a little bit longer here, but at the same time, I don't know if that's going to be anywhere near close enough to be able to make this competitive race near the end. This looks like it's heavy advantage David Burns.
And you remember that season end at Long Beach when we're talking championship. Remember to the 14-minute and 20-second mark when DJ Clark talked about David Third Degree Burns putting in the fastest lap here at Interlagos. That is a bonus point. That is so important. That could be the difference in the championship when it's so close.
Exactly, Soup. We've seen it time and time again when it comes to IndyCar, just the constant combinations and permutations of how things will shape out for the championship. I'm reminded 2 years ago, the battle at Laguna Seca as we watched the 91. That is our leader, Manuel Lucetta, choosing to stay out. Once again, he's going to get a little bit of help from the cars in front of him as Neagle and Sauer coming into the pits.
All right, the two teammates clearly have a nice channel where they can talk together. Boy, Sauer really locked it up. I thought he was going to get into the back of his teammate there, but they get it sorted out. We'll see if they work out, see if they pay their crews the same amount, see if they get out at the same time.
Well, it looks like there that Neagle was able to get into his box just a little bit cleaner than Ludwig Sauer. I think that may cost him half a tenth, maybe a little bit less. And there you can see it that indeed that is Neagle getting out just a hair earlier than his teammate.
I want to jump you quickly to car number 946. This is a nice battle. I'm not so much caring about Josh Brain. It's the driver behind him we haven't talked about. How about Tom Dell? Car number 12 racing in 7th position, having a great run. Started in 16th, up to 9th. Very well done. And both of these guys have made their stop. This is a real battle for position. And here comes Dell on the inside, and he gets it done going into Lake Descent, corner number 4.
Good move from there. He just knew he had the speed and didn't need to do anything else. We're going to follow Lucetta here. Soup, I've got to imagine he's going to be coming in. We've only got about 12 minutes to go in this race. That fuel tank has got to be awfully dry at this point.
Saw Potocek pit at the 10-minute mark, so that means he raced for 10 minutes in the window. I guess he could go another lap. That tank has got to be as empty as a syrup bottle after a pancake social. Let's see if he comes in now. He looks like, oh, he's very tight. Indeed, there it is. So he's coming in, and we're going to watch David Burns blow by in a minute as he races around the outside. Right now, Burns already on the straightaway.
Yeah, Soup, this isn't even going to be close. Looking back at the most recent pitters of Neagle and Sauer, both of their pit stops still hovering around that 30-second mark, so I think there is almost no hope for Manuel Lucetta here unless he pulls out some divine intervention to try to pull this off. Here comes Burns. Lucetta still sitting in the box.
Now the question is, will Lucetta get out ahead of the Neagle and Sauer? Sauer are way back. I think he'll probably comfortably get out in second. There's Lucetta coming out. He puts it on the grass. Maybe we underestimate it. Here's Burns full speed. Lucetta does a good job. I think he is going to get out in front. Surprise, surprise.
Well, color me wrong there, Soup. Manuel Lucetta able to come out back into the lead ahead of David Burns. Now comes the other question, though. Did he short fuel the car? I'm looking at a lot of these other times, and he looked like he was about a half a second faster than most of our other stoppers. There, you can see it right there. Stationary in the box, 0.4 of a second less than David Burns, so he could have short fueled the car ever so slightly in that position.
Of all the front runners, he had the shortest pit stop. And he's out in front. Everybody has made their stop with 10 minutes of racing to go. We're going to do this quickly as the excitement's going to be up front. Let's run through the field. We'll take them two at a time. I got the front two. You see him right there. It's Manuel Lucetta and David Burns. I don't expect Burns to make a move until, well, near the end. DJ, what about third and fourth?
Well, third place is Eric Lukels sitting there with Vincent Bream right behind him. Bream able to get in between those teammates that we saw battling. And I believe Lukels' teammate is currently in P5.
All right, that is indeed Ludic Sauer, who was racing with Lukel before the stops, but it didn't go well in pit lane, so he sits in fifth position. Hey, though, how about Tom Dell? We're going to jump up to the lead here, so we think we're going to have a pass.
And indeed, we do have a pass. That's Burns coming up in front of Lucetta, but we're going to continue to go back through our order here while we can.
I'm going to pick up a 946, Josh Brain. He's in that battle. Just ahead of him there is Tom Dell as they race for 6th and 7th. I'll drop back and take 8th position as well. That's my guy, Taylor Reeder, racing in 8th. Well done. He is up from a 14th position. DJ?
Neil Bamber currently sitting back in P9. He is about 3 seconds back of Taylor Reeder and about 3 seconds in front of the car behind him. That is Frederick Neptune, the tri.
Then after Neptune, it is Andre Solander. Let's look at this battle here for 11th real quick, and then we'll go back up to the left. This is Solander in a battle with the Lion, Merrick Leolis. And then also in the mix for 13th, we haven't talked about Martin Rendell. As we look at this battle, moving on the outside, that is Leolis, the Lion, trying to make the pass. Going to take it around the outside. Going to go wide into the blue-black of the atmosphere out there. He is really outside. Cannot get it done. Now he gets on the throttle. They are still side by side. We're going to stay on this one until they get it sorted out. They go into Little Orange. The preferred position will be for the Lion, but he has to back out. Momentum to the outside for Solander. Let's continue to battle. Sort it out, guys. We want to get back out front. I think they got it settled down. Now the Lion is back in there. He takes a bite. He can't get it. He loses momentum. Now ducking to the inside. Are they going to hit? Randall makes the pass. Now they get it sorted out. Let's go back up front. DJ.
Hoy, let me catch my breath after that one. That was an absolutely insane battle, but this is the battle for P1. Manuel Lucetta falling back behind David Burns to the tune of about a half a second, laying back in wait. Yes, we're going to ride on board with Manuel here. Listen to the engine note as they start to get down the straight. I am not going to be surprised if Manuel is trying to lift and coast a little bit here, as I think he may have very, very slightly underfueled that car, as I said before.
Indeed, although if he was, now he tucks back in. I don't know, he's out there in fresh air. I'm not sure what was going on there. If he's having fuel, he wants to be behind. Certainly he is close enough. DJ, you're my color man, so I'm going to jump into the end. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, I think I want to be in second.
That's kind of my inkling as well, Soup. I do either want to be in second or very far in front. But the thing is for Manuel Lucetta, he has got to start really, really finessing right now his line out of the junction, out of that last corner. He's got to figure out what David Burns is going to do and how he's going to try to go defensive. So don't be surprised if he starts taking a little bit of these contrary lines like you see him there to try to keep David on his toes. And in contrast for David Burns, I want to consciously be taking different lines every time I go through that final corner. Not because I'm trying to find speed, but because I want to keep Lucetta on his toes. I don't want to let him know what I'm going to be doing on that final lap.
In a battle for 18th, Banks and Neil Smet get together. We're not going to cover it, but we saw it, guys. Tough break for you as you were on the lead lap racing for 18th position. Okay, look at the lead here. Well, surprise, surprise. Lucetta dips down. I guess fuel's not an issue. Unless he's doing what our Joe Peak, one of the GSRC commentators, like to call a little reconnaissance racing, just testing out what he needs to do. Did he lead that lap? He did. He was first to the lane.
He's first to the line, and he took that fastest lap away from David third-degree Burns. So that bonus point shifting over to Lucetta's favor. But Burns looks like he is now going to tuck in behind, but he decides to stick out wide there. Lucetta fading over to cover him off.
I hate to drill down how important these bonus points are, but clearly Lucetta and Burns are equally matched. They are tied in the points with only 2 races after this one to go. Every point is going to be crucial. Every position. It's about a 3-point difference between first and second. So it's a little larger gap up front than it is farther down. But look at this battle behind. This is Lukel and Bream. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the team championship here real quick. Burns and Bream are 2 stupid dogs. They race now currently 2nd and 4th. Lukel and Sauer racing for Team Comeback in 3rd and 5th.
You can see the strength of both of those teams, and now just doing a little bit of the combinations and permutations in my head here the best I can. I believe if Bream is able to get by, he will officially be able to secure a first place for that team. The way things stand, I think they're roughly going to be tied-ish as they finish the day, but we're going to jump back to that P11 battle as well.
Oh my goodness. Randall in front of Solander right now, and that is chasing behind it is the Lion. Holy moly. And look at this. Bamber started in 20th. How about Randall in 28th up to 11th? Name to remember.
Very impressive run from Rendell here. We normally don't put the cameras on him, but we're going to jump back up to the lead as it looks like this is going to settle down for a minute, and indeed we should be here as Manuel Lucetta has taken back the lead from David Burns.
My attention is going to go to car number 32. Me as a perpetual back marker. I have high standards for letting the leaders by. I'm talking about Paul Clark. Paul, keep a steady line. He's going to move over. I'm not sure I like this move, trying to be polite. He moves over and lifts. Well done. That'll work. Does not slow them down. Lucetta down in first into corner number 4. We got just 3.5 minutes of racing to go. With apologies to the rest of the field, we're going to focus our attention here for the remainder of the race, TJ, up front.
Yeah, and this battle is going to get fierce and fast here, Soup. Do not be surprised if on this last lap we see either Lucetta or Burns attempting to make a pass through the tricky infield section, just trying to gain an advantage. But right now it's advantage Lucetta. Burns right behind him, though. You see how much they draw up together because of that concertina effect. Burns clearly still has enough speed to challenge Lucetta. Both of these drivers keeping each other on their toes.
They work their way through the drunken snake part of the track, the windy section. Now they go through corner number 11, the dive, heading towards junction, which is 12. Then they'll be on the gas. This is where you start to play a little bit of chess. Does Burns want the spot, or is he happy to stay in second? My guess is third degree is going to sit back there about a car length back and wait to do it. Not this lap, next time around, because, well, wait a minute. This may not be the white flag. They may have to go one more time.
Yeah, we'll have to see what that time stands as they cross the line. I think they're going to get the 2 to go. Yes, that's right. They're going to have 2 to go here at the line. Now, interesting, you saw Burns veer way wide coming through that last kink on the track. Now, that could be 2 things, Sue. Number 1, he's trying to time the pass correctly to be able to get it right, to get into the draft when he needs to absolutely maximize his opportunity, and doing the exact same thing here. I think he doesn't want to lead until he tries to make a move on the last lap. That's why he's not taking full advantage of the draft.
Don't need to go there. You can just check the tower that in 11th spot, Andre Solander has pulled away. Merrick Liolius now in 12th position with Rendell in 13th. We'll have time to cover that as the leaders come across, get the checkered flag. Now they head down into the technical section again. They'll do this one more time after this time.
They will. There you see a little bit of twitching from Manuel Lucetta as he gets those cars under the curb, gets those right front tires very far over the curb there. It sets the car ever so slightly. David Burns doesn't want to pounce, though. Just sitting back, laying in wait. I think he's waiting for the run out of the last corner. Remember, they will get the white flag at the line this time by.
Well, look at the head of the track. It is the Thunderbolt Thor 2-hole up there in car number 27. He's the last car on the lead lap after having an incident. I don't think he's going to come into play. I think he's far enough ahead of these guys that I don't think lap traffic is going to be a factor. If it's anything, it might be a bonus. If he catches it right, it might be a bonus for Lucetta here, who might be able to pick up a toe on the final lap if Thor is fast enough to stay out in front. Thor wants none of it. He's going to come in.
Yeah, Thor getting out of the way there as it looks like David Burns sticking his nose into clean air once again. So there we go. Final lap. It is now or never time for David Burns. Let's watch him here through Retro Aposta. Let's see if he decides to make the pass here or if he waits until the junction. What is he going to do?
This is a passing spot. Look at the defensive line from Lucetta. Lucetta's clearly happy to be out front right now as he keeps that taking his half out of the middle. Now he comes across as he realizes Burns isn't going to make the move. DJ, now I think they have to wait till the final corner. I think Burns has played his cards.
I think he has to, and Lucetta knows it. Just a quick note, we don't need to go there, but Vincent Breen had to come in for a splash and dash under feeling the car. Now, here is the question. How does Lucetta try to defend this coming through junction? Well, the simplest answer that I can think of, Soup, is he's going to want to try to brake a little bit right at the apex to prevent Burns from getting a good line out of junction. Burns, on the other hand, has to be ready for that, get ready to counter, maybe take a little bit of a different line to be able to get the power down when he wants to.
If you're new to racing, you think that Burns would want to be as close as he can. That's really not the case. He wants to be far enough back where he can get a good run and not get checked up. That was DJ was talking about. He's about 2 car lengths back. Remember, he's got to make the pass before the finish line. You can't wait to do it into corner number 1 because the race will be over. They are now there. Burns is 2 car lengths back. Here comes the toe. Look for Lucetta to stay to track right, driver left as they come out of the final corner. Burns is a car length back. He's got to get going. Here comes the finish line. Burns is a half car length back. Lucetta does hug the inside. Burns swings to the outside. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Burns has the momentum. Burns gets the win by 2/100ths of a second.
Oh my goodness gracious, absolutely brilliant strategy from David Burns. We jump back for the final podium position. This is Eric Lukel coming to the line to take third.
Other drivers coming across. We'll go back to Josh Brain in a battle. This is what Dell behind him. I think unlike what Burns was able to do, Dell not able to make that pass as Brain will settle for 5th spot. Great finish for Josh. Another good finish from Tom Dell from 16th spot. Well down the order, DJ, this battle with Cook.
Indeed, this is Dave Devine and Timothy Cox, it looks like, as they come through. Dave Devine trying to hold him off the best he can, but Cox not having any of it. It's going to be the same story on a different lap. Timothy Cox looking to the inside in junction.
Tries to make it early. That could be the ball game right there. As now he's got to really work hard to get some momentum. He's going to lose all his momentum on that pass attempt. Still a long way to go. 2 car lengths back. Let's see if Cox can get there. Right now it's Dave Devine. Can he hold off? Oh, he leaves the inside open. Here comes Cox. That's the shorter line there. It's going to be a race. And when iRacing sets and done, it is indeed Cox who gets it. Woo, he nips him by, oh my goodness, about a 100th of a second. The rest of the cars finish in. There are 24 cars on the lead lap. That'll do it for the racing here in South America. But our broadcast is far from done. We'll take a short break. We'll come back, give you a total rundown of the order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. sanctioned by the Absolute Beginner League from beautiful Interlagos. This is the Global SimRacing Channel's Round 3 coverage of Formula Neagle's Season 23 Championship. The results are in. Let's give it to you right now. We come into the race with a tie for the points. We'll leave here with David Third Degree Burns as the point leader, but not by much. Manuel Lucetta will get a bonus point for fastest lap, so it'll be very close as they will come into next round at Bathurst very, very close together. Eric Lukal, a great run from him. He sits third in the points, and he finishes third today with Ludovic Sauer, his teammate, right behind him. A great points racing day for Team Compact. Josh Brain, I'm going to guess this might be his best career finish. We'll get drilled down a little bit more on that next round. He comes in fifth. Tom Dell, 16th to 6th position. Great run from him. Taylor Reeder, I told you to watch out for him. A 7th spot for him, just inside of former champion Neil Bambi Bamber. The Trident in 9th spot. Frederick Neptune right where he qualified with Vincent Bream in 10th. DJ?
Andre Solander will come home 11th after suffering a little bit of damage early on. Merrick Leolis having a very good run to come home 12th, followed by Christopher Giros, also a victim of a little bit of damage earlier on in the race. Jeffrey Brower in 14th with Christopher Crook in 15th. Martin Rendell putting in a very strong performance to come home in 16th, followed by Timothy Cox, who just beat Dave Devine to the line. Just Yonk all the way down the order in 19th with Nicholas Ingvaldson in 20th.
Hidden Blackjack, Mackenzie Mann, the Double Duck Neil Smet, Craig Schill, and Eric Lundberg are next. Paul Clark is the first car one lap down. RAC Haas had some trouble. He's doing well in the F2 Championship. Probably not going to be on the graphic next round. The Thunderbolt, Thor Two-Hole in 27th position with Peter Reed after him. Michael Green in 29th. In 30th, it's Andre Saunders.
In 31st, 4 lengths down was Troy Banks, and the rest of these guys suffering some serious damage, not really able to see the finish line. Klaus Loden in 32nd, Luis Felipe Calderon in 33rd, Jan Mild 34th, Vocek Protechek 34th, Jan Mild 35th.
All right, I have the honor of talking to our winner and current point leader, David Third Degree Burns. David, let's go right to the end of the race. What's the thinking there when you're playing chess? Second where you want to be?
Yeah, I'd been using ever since I came out of the pits and Manuel was just beside of me. I thought, well, I'm just going to use this to practice. So every lap I was using it to see exactly where I was. In fact, the first lap I knew where I needed to be and it just needed to be 0.3. So I thought, yeah, I'm better being in second. And to be honest, unless the driver is dirty and tries to swerve, I mean, I know dirty isn't technically the word. You're allowed to do that. But if they're honest, you can normally get them by the line. So that was the tactic and it worked.
All right, the early pit stop. Get me inside your helmet there. Do you watch the tower? Do you watch the time? Do you see if you're able to keep station with Lucetta, who's a half a lap away from you?
Yeah, I judged it basically from his practice as well as his qualifying. I thought, I am a little bit faster than him, so I'm better off not giving him as much draft as possible because I thought he'll just lift, he'll then get a higher pit, a faster pit stop, and then he'll be out, 2 seconds up the road and I'll have to catch him. So I thought, I dive into the pits as soon as I can because he hadn't passed me at all in the first section. So I thought I'm better off going in the pits and just risking it with some of the people down the grid. But it worked out well.
Is lap traffic, when you're in that position, is lap traffic a bonus that you can get a draft on them, or would you prefer to have a clear track and not have to worry about getting around people?
I'll be honest, I prefer to have a clear track. So it is a risk if you take the Euro strategy and dive in early. But it worked out well. There was only one person I had to make a bit of a move around, but I got round the outside of him there. So draft can help if you meet them in the right place, but back markers, no, you generally better if you've got a clear space. So I think I got lucky that way.
All right, 3 races, 3 different winners. Congratulations. Good luck. You'll have the points lead, but I think you got your work cut out for you the rest of the way.
Sure, Manuel, he's good. Cheers, guys.
All right, David Burns, 2-time champion, poised for his third one. DJ, who you got?
Well, Soup, I have Eric Lewickel in the booth. Eric, how was it out there today? Looked like it was a major draft-heavy race.
Yes. Hello, guys. Yeah, it was, of course, a lot about the draft today. I have to say a big thank you to David because he gave me a lot of draft in the quali, which made the starting position in P2 possible. And then from then on, it was all about trying to stay in touch with the leaders because, it's a draft-heavy track here.
It is indeed. Looks like you had some massively good battles kind of all the way through the race. Never really a chance to take a break, but at the end, able to get a little bit of breathing. How does your headspace change when you get in that clean air, you get it past? Are you focusing a little bit more on trying to drive a hot lap, or are you still looking in your rearview mirror to try to block off any potential attack?
Yeah, well, in the end, I could take it a little bit easy because Vincent, who was behind me, was short on fuel. So I knew he would have to pit again. And the guy behind him, Ludwig, is my teammate. So, yeah, I knew that I wouldn't have to fear a lot of attacks from him. So take it a bit easier.
Well, speaking of Ludwig, you guys having a very good points haul today and a very good points year. How are you feeling about the team's championship?
Yeah, today was great for us. I'm not sure if we were able to take the lead with David getting the win, but with Vince getting bad luck on his fuel, we might take the lead, and that should be the goal for the season. Of course, the Drivers' Championship, that's not something I can attack because David and the other guys are just too strong, but the team championship should definitely be our goal for this season.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to watching it as this season starts to wind down to a close. Eric, congratulations again on a well-earned third place.
Very much, guys.
And Soup, I believe you have caught up with our fourth place finisher, Ludwig Sauer.
I get to talk to his teammate, Ludwig. Congratulations. You've had a couple podium finishes before, but it's always nice to have a fifth.
I think I'm in fourth. But yes, it's always great. Yeah,
yeah, you did. You had a fourth. That's very nice. You've had a second and a third, so fourth is your third best finish. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Well, I have to thank Wojciech. He gave me a really big toe in the quali, and I qualified fifth. And once you're up in front, it's so much easier to get a good result. Get in the draft of the fast guys. Today we had Lois, so we put him up in front of the pack, and he pulled us away from the guys behind. And then the second part of the race, it's just keeping position and battling among each other.
You were racing with your teammate. You came in together with your teammate, but Eric must pay his guys a little more as he got out faster.
Yes. Well, I was really close behind him leading up to the pit line. I didn't want to drive him off the road, so I gave him a little bit of space, as I gave him enough trouble at Watkins Glen already. And I think I just missed a couple of seconds there.
Well, it was fun watching you race. Congratulations on the top five, actually fourth position. Way to go, 2 to go. Let's bring home maybe a F2 championship, huh?
Right, and a team championship. Thank you, guys.
There you go, the team championship. Well done. Thank you very much. There you have it, fourth place today from Ludwig Sauer. That's going to do it for us here at GSRC. I'd like to thank everybody at the Absolute Beginner League for organizing this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. We are indeed very, very proud to be part of this since season 5. Thanks to the company's equipment and software you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The original music that gives every GSRC broadcast that unique flavor and feel is thanks to June Lalonde. See the screen for contact information on screen now. Some of the upcoming shows, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar. You like Formula Legal? Well, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. Valentine's Day for a romantic visit to Mount Panorama. Oh, my favorite place to take my wife for a simulated picnic. How appropriate that we're going to have it on Valentine's Day. It's Bathurst for round number 4. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it at globalsimracing.com. We're also on Twitter at gsrchannel.com. No, that's wrong. GSR Channel. Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel. And Instagram at GSRC_Gram. And while you're here, become a YouTube subscriber by, well, you know what to do. If you're looking for a unique gift, go to our merchandise store. That's gsrc.storeenvy.com. Lots of good things to choose from there to make people happy. If you find something for your better half into a make her feel, him or her, happy about the nice gift you can give them. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that'd be DJ, Sean, and Doug, I'd like to thank all of you for watching, as it was indeed picking up his first win of the season, David Third Degree Burns here at Interlagos. With that said, all the housekeeping's out of the way. It's time for us to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.